Would you like me to ask a question?
I wish you would.
Well, we've gotten several questions about a very popular topic. I'm assuming this has recently come up. It looks like from reading this. This is due to a recent interview with Bret Hart. So I'll ask you one question for the many that have come in. Jim, what are your thoughts on Bret Hart saying that Shawn Michaels and Triple H bullied The Rock when he first got to WWE or the WWF at the time? And I guess also on this topic, that this was one of the reasons The Rock refused to work with Shawn Michaels at any point after this. What do you know about bullying The Rock? And I guess it would have been, he came in Survivor Series 96, early 97. What do you remember about all this?
I think, honestly, I guess Bret's using it now because it's a term that people can relate to because they use that, or maybe it's more of, he's Canadian. But when you use the word bullying, I think the average person gets the fucking picture of Shawn Michaels and Triple H hanging out by the lockers, would hear The Rock with his book bag slung over his shoulder, is walking, and they fucking reach out with their fucking foot and trip him, and then fucking dump his books on the floor and fucking, chew up crackers and fucking blow cracker crumbs on him. Bullying. They did the same thing with him as they did with everybody else. They were the insufferable clique group that, depending on what the membership was in them, they either shit in people's fucking lunch boxes, or they fucking buried them behind their back to Vince, or they sandbagged them as a group. We don't want to work with these fucking guys because they were afraid that they would take the fucking spots, or just because they didn't want to work with anybody that they weren't into, because they all wanted to get over and run the wrestling business, which for a little while is the entire wrestling business. A little while it actually happened when Hall and Nash were down south and everybody else was still up north. And now it has happened through the virtue of the marriage vows. But bullying, no, they did the same thing. They didn't care that he was supposed to be. They probably were offended that he was supposed to be the brand new project and the prodigy and etc., because that was a danger to their spots. And also, at some point they might be expected to actually put him over. So they didn't shit in his lunchbox, but they didn't do him any favors. They knocked him, or fucking, ran their mouse at the right time to the right people or whatever. But fortunately, in this case, everybody knew how good Rocky was. And I still call him Rocky because that's the way we started. But everybody knew how good he was. And Michaels took himself out of the equation, with his career-ending back injury, which was about as valid as the career-ending knee injury that he had the year before. So what healed Michaels' back was WCW going out of business and his contract coming up. Vince paid him all the way through 2001, but suddenly, if there wasn't any WCW for him to go to, he wasn't going to pay him. And his back felt so much better then. But anyway, that's the type of thing they did with the younger guys, or the guys they didn't want to work with, or the guys that they wanted to keep out of their spots, or just didn't like because sometimes they didn't like people because those people didn't want to put up with their fucking horse shit. And didn't want to hang around with them or be involved in their fucking childish bullshit pranks. Or their fucking, cruises on Lake Havasoma or whatever. So, and Triple H was not Triple H was not the he was the good influence on Michaels, because he wasn't on any pills. He was just, the Ms. Pac-Man of the power grab, but at least he was ambitious. He probably kept Michaels straighter than all the rest of them did.
What do you remember about when The Rock, or Rocky Maivia at the time, defeated Triple H for the Intercontinental title?
I don't actually. I was probably there. If you told me what pay-per-view it was, I'm sure I was there. And I might could tell you more about the fucking room service at the hotel than I could the goddamn match. I don't remember.
But I mean, it must be one thing if Shawn and his buddies are burying guys like Bigelow, let's say, or Vader, guys that Vince really doesn't have a deep personal investment with. The Rock or Rocky Maivia came in, they gave him a major push right out of the gate, went over on Survivor Series. He's a Pat Patterson project. It has to be a little different with someone like him than one of those other guys.
Well, and also, you know, because you could tell once that Rocky started getting over as himself when he basically switched heel because of the Die Rocky Die shit, the push backfired because it was an obvious push, and it's not even that he wasn't ready for it, it's that they made him not ready for it. He was ready for a push as a young prodigy, but he wasn't ready for a push as a young prodigy that never lost and that came out with all them spangles and fucking the ribbon outfit that Creative Services gave him and the Kid and Play haircut that he now laughs at to this day. And the person was ready for the push, but not the fucking image they gave him. And so that for anybody else might have buried him. But besides the fact that he was able to turn it into a positive and just go ahead and switch heel and then be himself and then come up with fucking Rock, which was it was himself. You know, they couldn't bury that because you could tell there was something there. And I'm sure, you know, they were, I'm sure, happy to jump on when it wasn't working. But once it started working, they had to fucking go along with it because what are they going to do about it? And by 98 and a half or early 99, they better fucking go along with it.
So you don't remember any specific whining about Triple H having to drop the belt to Rocky?
Oh, and no, that's what I don't remember Triple H actually whining about anything. It was always Michaels whining. Triple H did his fucking whining in private, away from me, because he knew I would probably stooge to everybody. So, you know, but at least he was smart about it. But so I was not involved in any of Triple H's whining. I'm sure there was always whining from everybody, but a lot of times Vince is the only one that heard about it. But Michaels made such big deals about it, and Hall and Nash and those guys, that everybody knew what the fuck was going on.
Who did Rocky, who did he hang out with when he first got up there?
God, well, obviously, you know, any of the Samoan family. As a matter of fact, to be honest with you, I remember he enjoyed Candido and Al Snow. He and Mick were always cool. Basically, all the not anti-click, but the Bizarro clique, all the young guys, professionals, working hard, you know, not being issues in the locker room. That's always who he gravitated to. And you know, so he didn't really have a clique as much as just he was able to get along with anybody that was worth getting along with. Rocky, you know, to me, didn't have any problems with anybody in the locker as far as issues, but he hung out with guys that also didn't have a lot of problems with people. It's amazing how that happens.